2 of the Path to Presence retreat. Let everyone arrive over the next minute while I check on my tech. Okie dokie. Arrive over the next. All right, got that part going. Got this part going. Okay, I think we are now ready to get started. So welcome everyone to day 2 in the Path to Presence retreat. I hope you had a great experience yesterday in the first day where we talked a lot about why you might be here to even join us on this Path to Presence, why you might want to meditate or have a consistent meditation practice you can show up in. And the goal of the retreat, the overall big picture, is to really provide you with the tools, the questions to ask to tailor your meditation practice so it can be consistent. So you can have a practice that sticks and you can continue to show up in, and it can grow with you. So before we move on to the topic of today, which is, of course, the big question of when and timing, I'm just going to take a moment to share some of the homework answers that came from our topic yesterday. So yesterday, we talked a little bit about some of the myths of meditation, some of the reasons why we might not show up in a meditation practice consistently, one of which was unrealistic expectations about meditation. The other two we're going to talk about a little bit today. But it's important to think about what that spark, that motivation is for this, the fuel for the journey. So I tried to copy over folks' answers from Facebook group and a little bit of the Zoom. So I'll just read a few of them out. Pauline shared, when I meditate, I have a totally different day, more structured and focused. So there's an interest in that clarity and focus. Liz says, I find I'm so much more productive and focused after a morning meditation. So there's some similar answers there. Kamal says, to be fully present in the moment and hear the whispers from within to ground me and guide me to live an authentic life. Such a well said, beautiful, eloquent answer here. And Christine gave a very long answer and with lots of things, including some of the physiological things like reducing stress, aging gracefully, better brain, improved attention, problem solving, strengthened immune function, also improving my agility and mobility. I like this one. This is the first time I've heard this one. Developing my inner strength to navigate life's harshness and failures after learning from it. So this is, and she has a lot of really a nice long one, deep peace within myself, healthy health. So there's just a huge range of different benefits that a regular meditation practice can offer. And really meditating, even for a few minutes, we get a taste of these benefits. Yesterday as well, Vanessa had chimed in with less reactivity, finding more moments to ponder my day rather than just keep moving through it quickly. And Nia said, I'm looking to be more present for both myself and my family. So there's so many different reasons. And I like to kind of take a moment to show that so you can really think deeper. Sometimes it helps to hear other people's reasons too, because then you might be like, oh yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. I hadn't connected those dots. So there's always time. I do have these homework threads up in here to help you with accountability, taking it deeper, really reflecting on things, and then also to have that sense of community, that you're not alone as we walk this path to presence together. So feel free to add in to the homework at any point. You know, we like to have a little motivation here, but it's never too late to start with any of this. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the question of when. I mentioned yesterday that one of the biggest issues is just consistency, being able to show up regularly. And a huge part of that is often the timing of a regular practice. So that can be a more difficult thing. And it's where we get to start talking about habits and how your meditation practice is really a habit. And we want to set it up like that. And we kind of really look at when, in terms of a balance between these two things. When is it easiest for you? You know, this is a very practical, pragmatic piece. And when would it benefit you most? Which tends to link in a little bit more to the why. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and share from my story, which is the timing of a meditation practice. Often we sort of, when we're building a habit, we like to kind of dial it in so that it works best and then kind of have this consistency, you know, show up at the same time. Inevitably, that is going to get disrupted because life is just not that predictable, right? So I want to encourage you to also kind of have an adaptive, flexible mind when it comes to this sort of thing. And even in my experience over the last 15 or plus years that I've tried to really have a consistent meditation practice, it has shifted many different times depending on what's going on in my life. Even this morning, this week, while I'm doing the meditation retreat at this time for me, 8:30 in the morning, this year, now that the last time I did the retreat was, you know, January, February, so many months ago. And right now we have a new dog in our family. And that's usually my time when I'm walking the dog in the last 7 months that we've had the new dog. So I've had to get up a little early so I could walk the dog first so that I could sit. So things are always changing. And as I walked the dog, I listened to a meditation while I'm walking the dog. So sometimes you really have to get creative and be a little bit flexible, but know that in general, it is helpful from the standpoint of habit to kind of find a regular time. And throughout this whole process, I want to also encourage curiosity. Can you know, this is an opportunity to sort of play with what works best for you. So when I first got into developing a very regular meditation practice, I mentioned I think I was doing a course in shiatsu and oriental therapies. We were encouraged to log these things and reflect and journal on them, which was really helpful. And at that time in my life, I had like an hour and a half morning practice of yoga and breathing and meditation. And while my oats were soaking in the water, and then, you know, fast forward several years, I was in a busier stage in life, going to acupuncture grad school, had a lot of early morning classes and clinical commitments and things like that. And, you know, definitely could not take an hour and a half in the morning to leisurely explore life. So then it became meditating different, you know, I actually would sort of chop up my meditation, do a little bit here and a little bit in the middle of the day. I remember it was a good time for me to practice then. Then, of course, having a baby really blows all of that out of the water sometimes. And, you know, as things have changed during the pandemic, when my life routine in the beginning of the quarantine changed, I had to find a new way. So know that there really is no one way to do it, and it doesn't have to be in the morning. I am typically not that much of a morning person, never really have been. The last several years, my meditation practice is in the evening. Once my son has gone to bed and kind of helping me transition out of, you know, busy working, kind of not paying attention to, you know, all those autopilot moments. I have the ritual now of, I guess, meditating and taking a bath every evening. So really you can kind of find what works for you within all of that. So when it would be easiest and when would benefit you most. When you're looking at when it would be easiest, you can actually make a list or a visual of all the different habits that you do have in the day. And you can think of the things that you show up to all without fail, like brushing your teeth. Maybe you're someone who makes your bed every morning. Maybe the way that you might do meals or things like that. Maybe if you have other caregiving responsibilities for family, kids, animals, there's different habits that you do related to that. Like I mentioned, walking the dog. So you can kind of make an audit of what you do in a day. What are the more reliable habits that you show up for? What are the things that you're always doing? And then we try to look for ways to either use those existing habits as a cue to start a meditation practice, or maybe a space. And maybe there's even a time where you might have to give up another habit. I have a whole spiel about this, and I don't see it in this part of my notes. So give me a moment, because am I missing a page? Oh, sorry, just a sec. Let me see if I have them out of sequence. This sometimes happens. I don't know. I'll just give you my spiel anyway. So you want to look and see where there might realistically, practically be space for you. I think it is helpful to take a moment to write down the habits that you do, and you'll know, maybe you make a couple of columns, like the ones you do without fail, the ones you do often, and you look for where there might be space. And some of those habits might be habits that you are trying to do less of. So sometimes we're trying to make it easy. We really want to set ourselves up to succeed. So we want to make it easy when it comes to establishing a good habit. We want to provide incentive. And when it comes to reducing a habit that we're not so thrilled with, I'm resisting calling it a bad habit, but something that's not in line with our overall goals and values, we want to add friction to it. We want to make it harder to show up to those things. So maybe, doom scrolling or spending time on social media, we might have a habit of doing that in the morning or night, and might be better served to do that for only 5 minutes and take 10 minutes to meditate or something like that. So kind of think creatively about that as well. So you really want to start to see the meditation practice as a habit and start to tune into the other habits in our lives so that we can think about the practical aspect of things. So a lot of what I talk about here can be applied to any self-care practice, any of those healthy habits that we're wanting to establish. And I want to take a pause here and talk about some of those deeper reasons why it can be hard to show up. I mentioned yesterday unrealistic expectations about meditation, and then unrealistic expectations about yourself, or some limiting beliefs. And these tend to fall into a sense of self-awareness and self-compassion. So you might have difficulty prioritizing your self-care in general. And so it can be difficult to really truly believe that you deserve those benefits of meditation that we were talking about, that you deserve the practice and the spaciousness, the presence, the pause, all of these things, right? The opportunity to be with yourself and see clearly. So we can work with this, if this is the case for you. We can work with this by thinking about these circles of care, and that in the middle of all that we care for and all the energy we give to others and other things, people, beings, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to fill the teapot before we are giving cups of tea to everyone else, right? People and projects, all these things. So it's kind of like a little hack that if you have trouble caring for yourself, really remembering that caring for yourself is still in service to other things and people as well. And then thinking about, again, what you might have to give up to prioritize your own well-being. So can you make that time for self-care and know that you're worthy of the practice? So I mentioned social media or other kinds of habits that might not feel in line with your values or your goals, that you might want to try to reduce. So we think about what we're willing to let go of that's not aligned with our why, our values, those aspirations. So Giovanni, I'm just calling him Giovanni because I still don't know how to pronounce his last name, from this book, Mindful Self-Discipline, plus Giovanni's a great name. He calls this the offering. So this idea may be of a little bit of sacrifice. And often the sacrifice can be resources, like I mentioned yesterday, time, energy, money, but it can also include limiting beliefs. And I will talk about limiting beliefs a little more on Monday if you're really resonating with this, our bonus day. This might include giving up excuses. I've been having fun in this promotional period before the retreat, lending an ear to everyone and what their excuses are for not showing up. I'm too busy. I don't have enough time. I can't sit still. I can't sit on the ground. I can't practice in the morning. There's so many things. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel silly, right? All these things that often tend to be just limiting beliefs, just excuses, really. So that requires, of course, a lot of honesty. Meditation will help with that too, being really clear-sighted on that self-awareness piece. All right. And Giovanni also says, you cannot choose to never experience pain, but you can choose your pain. You can choose the pain of self-discipline or the pain of regret and wasted potential. You can choose your aspirations, your values, and your why, but not their price. And so that question, as we do this, what are you willing to let go of? All right, so I found my spiel. It was hidden in the bullet points. You'll be happy to know. You can, as you make an audit perhaps of all your different habits, you might use this to do what's called habit stacking. This is something that James Clear in Atomic Habits has a whole section where he really talks about. So habit stacking is layering a habit at the same time or using another daily habit as a cue. So a couple of examples is you might establish taking some mindful breaths while waiting for the kettle to boil, or after feeding a pet, or right before lunch, maybe when you have a laptop, when you close your laptop. Some of these very small micro gestures, like the more specific we get, often the easier it is to really follow through with these. And we're using another habit as a cue to start meditation practice. You can use it for other things, like just as a little aside, but a similar thing. One of my legs, due to some scoliosis, some curvature in my spine, one of my legs rotates outward and can cause some structural issues. I find I've trained myself that every time I'm in front of a sink, I check my legs. Because I wash my hands a lot in my work and everything else in life, I'm at the sink a lot. So that's my time when I check on my foot. So that's just a little example that I've noticed recently this week. There can be all kinds of things. If you are not working from home and you have a commute, or even if you are working from home, sometimes we have habits that sort of initiate and conclude our working time, for example, or school drop off and pick up, or things like that. Brushing your teeth. I think the last retreat, someone came up with the idea of meditating for 10 minutes after you brush your teeth. And I loved that because as the parent of a young child, brushing your teeth is one of the earliest habits that you teach another human. Getting dressed, brushing your teeth, some of these really basic things. We can use those as a cue to remind us to meditate. And with practice continuing to show up, it becomes more automated, right? This is the habit stacking is funny because we are using what's often unconscious or automatic. We're using that as a vehicle to kind of train in some mindfulness, some awareness. A word here too, you want to make this self-care routine preventative, not reactive. So meditation is like brushing our teeth. It doesn't matter what kind of mood we're in, what sort of day we're having. So similarly with meditation, when you make the habit to sit and meditate, we're caring for our whole selves, just like caring for our whole sort of dental hygiene and health of our teeth. And it gets put to the test with our teeth when we go to the dentist. We get to see how we're doing. In meditation, it gets put to the test when we might be struggling, or a time when it can be hard to show up, or there is more reactivity or stress or whatever might be going on, especially how it relates to your why, those benefits you're seeking. So rather than being reactive, when you feel stressed or when you feel anxious or overwhelmed in some way, then meditating, we want to instead be preventative about it. And eventually the benefits of meditation will become your own cue. I kind of touched on this yesterday. And it was in some of the reasons that when you notice that you're meditating every day, you feel maybe more focused, or you feel calmer or less reactive. Those things start to help motivate us as well. And also, like brushing your teeth, there's no need to judge or criticize yourself when you're meditating. No need to worry about if you're doing it right. We're just showing up. We just make this habit of showing up. All right, so those are some strategies to help you if you're having trouble with limiting beliefs and really making the time that you deserve in this practice, this meditation practice. Pausing for any questions. Feel free to write in questions as we go. Oh, we're all right. And the other one is maybe there's a lack of self-awareness, self-compassion in a different, harsher way, where you have unrealistic expectations for yourself. So that might look like you're trying to really kill it at meditation, and you want to get there, you want to meditate for an hour every day. It's just kind of the overachiever type. So we want to adjust our expectations of the process. Motivation and the initial spark is not all it takes to see your practice through. I want to beware of false hope syndrome and the expectation that your path will be effortless. It's better to assume it will not always be smooth sailing, right? Life will get in the way. Expect that you will not always feel in the mood for meditation. And a quote from Giovanni here says, "The emphasis is on action, not mood, on commitment, not motivation. You do what you need to do to live in integrity with your aspiration, your ideal self." And when you are getting overambitious in your practice, you also want to watch out for all or nothing thinking. Beware of perfectionism, the trap of not good enough thinking, self-criticism, and shame. Can you be kind to yourself and set realistic expectations rather than those lofty ambitions or pressure, which is really a lack of compassion for yourself? In the meditation practice we did yesterday, I find it's really helpful to make that, to use that shift into feeling the touch points with the ground to really arrive where you're at. So you can take a considered, aware, balanced, compassionate step for yourself. So starting where you're at, really being honest with yourself and treating yourself as you would a close friend. This takes practice, and this is going to link into our meditation today. You want to set yourself up to succeed. You want to be friendly and kind with yourself. One more piece, if you're having trouble with the lack of self-awareness, self-compassion, and the harsher side, we don't want to try to change everything at the same time. It's not a good idea to give up sugar, eat clean, not drink alcohol, start exercising, meditation daily, maybe journaling, to not start all these habits as new habits at the same time. Many habits and behaviors may help you realize these aspirations, these values, these goals. but focus on what I have another book, Charles Duhigg, who wrote The Power of Habit, which may or may not be at my feet, calls keystone habits, small changes with a really big positive domino effect. So if you try to commit to everything, you often end up committing to nothing. So again, setting yourself up to succeed by starting small, simple, starting where you're at and slowly building it up. So maybe you resonate with one of these tendencies of not being kind or compassionate to ourselves. We all struggle with these things in some way. Sometimes you might resonate with both, right? So a word about self-compassion, and then we will get into our practice. Pausing for a moment. Self-compassion is really about treating ourselves the same as we would a dear friend, sensing into our own basic goodness and wishing ourselves the same sense of care that we wish for others. I have done a course in mindful self-compassion and followed some of the research there. Usually Kristen Neff and Chris Skerner are the main lead researchers and teachers in that. And they talk about the central paradox of self-compassion, which is that we give ourselves compassion not to feel better, but because we feel bad. So really kind of acknowledge the fact that there might be some difficulty, some challenge, some suffering. And then it's really just it can be very simple, very subtle, just opening up to care or kindness just a little more than we might be used to. And they talk about the 3 components of self-compassion. The first one is mindfulness, this awareness, maybe this recognition that there's some moment of difficulty, some experience of suffering. And the second one is common humanity. Rather than getting attached, glomming on to this moment of suffering and identify it, we remember our common humanity, that others in the same situation would feel just like we do. And actually, we're not alone. And often all the different flavors of suffering are a part of human existence, and not just human, but like life, right? Life bumbling up, presenting difficulty. And the third one is kindness. So we have mindfulness, common humanity, and kindness. And this is really just treating ourselves with that love, care, respect. Often we can, when you think about how you express kindness to another, it might be through our words, it might be through touch, it might be through the gaze. We're going to use those a little bit in a moment to do a practice where we open up a sense of spaciousness and we practice the inner smile, that sending warmth and kindness to ourselves. All right, any questions before we go into a meditation practice? Don't think so. Lovely. Okay, let's practice then. So I want to encourage you as we shift into the practice part of our meditation to start where you're at and be kind to yourself and set yourself up to succeed by noticing what your body needs. If you need to lie down, if you need that extra pillow, if you need the blanket, make yourself comfortable. You might want to be able to do what you imagine is this perfect meditation sitting on the hard floor or with a cushion. Maybe that's not appropriate right now and certainly isn't necessary. So just take some time entering into it with some respect for where you're at and getting your body comfortable, finding a posture that works for you. Take some time to settle in. Sit and know you're sitting or lying down. And maybe you close your eyes if that's comfortable, or let your gaze be soft. And just start to turn your attention inwards. Let the body move around a little and settle if you need to. I like to play with the tilt, the angle of my chin, until I feel like the weight is off my shoulders and my neck opens up. And just tuning within, maybe take a moment to find those touch points beneath your pelvis, your legs, your feet, that contact with the ground. And just notice for a moment here, letting our attentions gather in these touch points to notice any sensations here. Warmth, coolness, pressure, tingling, whatever might be present and alive for you right here, right now. And also as we touch down here with these contact points, feel how the ground rises to meet you. Feel how the ground offers support, maybe even a sense of belonging. Maybe already this sense of common humanity, this ground that is like the earth that connects all of us. And opening up to be aware of the sensations throughout your body, inviting any tension to soften. Scanning some of the usual places for tension, the jaw, the eyes, the shoulders, the belly, the hips. Just getting in touch with the sensations in the body. As the body softens, you might become more aware of the flow of breath. And just noticing where in the body it's easiest to connect to the breath. Let your attention follow through the phases of inhale and exhale. Maybe noticing that the more your attention follows the breath, the softer your body becomes. There's already a collaboration, cooperation between these. And letting the next breath be received in a soft belly. And the next breath, soft belly. And as you do that, feeling a sense of spaciousness within. Feel how each inhale really opens up a sense of space. So when you become aware of sensations, they're sort of floating in and out of this vast spaciousness. One of the best examples or visualizations of spaciousness is the open sky. So holding in your mind's eye for a moment, the image of a vast open sky. Getting up earlier lately, I've been walking the dog at sunrise, where those changes of light, like sunrise and sunset, the mind is drawn up to that vast sky. Just getting an image. Maybe there are clouds, maybe it's cloudless, maybe the light's changing. Sense of this open sky. And within that sky is a smile, this seed of kindness, this warmth. And just imagining the spaciousness of the sky, the warmth of the smile, like the sunlight falling onto your head, entering into your body. You might naturally smile a little as you imagine this, or without necessarily moving any muscles of your face, we feel the energy of this inner smile, the warmth in the eyes, the sense of the corners of the mouth turning upwards, this kernel of kindness. Maybe there's also a softening, a loosening, a spaciousness. And sending this energetic smile down into the soft belly, just like the breath, letting this inner smile flow with the breath. Sending yourself kindness. Things are not always easy. We can expect moments of difficulty. And in those moments, we can remember that we're all connected through the earth, through the sky. We're not alone. We can choose to express some warmth and kindness to ourselves. Feeling this energetic smile radiating through you. And it can help to take a hand, if you'd like, and place it on your heart or on your belly or any part of you that feels supportive, offering yourself this soothing touch. This reminder of support, presence, and you can even use words. It's okay, sweetie. Some words you might say to a dear friend who was having a moment of difficulty, who you wanted to show just a little more care and love for. I'm here with you. Whatever words naturally come into your mind, feels natural for your language. And if your hand is still on your body, you can very slowly take it off. Just gently feel this resonance, the echo of touch, the warmth. Let your hand settle back. And just soften the active doing of this practice and let yourself pause here for a moment. Just notice how it feels to be here right now, how it feels in your body, what it's like to practice giving and receiving yourself this kindness. And as the practice draws to a close, pausing to notice more how you feel to transition mindfully out of the practice. As always, I invite your reflection. Curious about how that was for you. Feel free to comment if you would like. Self-compassion, there's such wonderful practices, and they're something we really need to practice. It's not something we typically have a lot of natural ease and comfort with, might be very loving as a friend or to others in our lives, but being loving like that to ourselves can feel a little awkward. Actually, when we started the meditation part, anyone who is watching a replay or had their eyes open, my dog came in and came right up to me right during that practice. It's kind of sweet. Sometimes using the image of a dog or a baby or a small child, a sort of innocent being, an animal, can be really helpful for sparking that spark of warmth. So now we have considered the role of kindness and compassion for ourselves in our meditation practice. And today we've talked about looking at when it's easy, when it might be best for us. The homework question for today is really to start to think of some plans and some commitments, being curious, and to name a few times when you might show up to practice. And a final word on when it might benefit you most. An example I didn't give is if you are seeking to develop a meditation practice because you want to improve your sleep, sometimes it's better to practice at night in helping you to wind down. If the benefit you're seeking in meditation practice is to reduce reactivity or stress or anxiety, and that's situational, for example, a work situation, it might be better to meditate before you're in that situation. So thinking about the why and what might benefit you in that sense is helpful too. So we're looking at now we're trying to be honest about where we're at and taking those first couple of steps. What are some times you could try out that would be, might be a new way of thinking about it as well. So that's the homework for today. And tomorrow we're going to talk about where and designating a special spot, a little bit more about habits as well, habit forming, and a little bit on the stuff of meditation and the posture and things like that. So please feel free to continue to give me the answers to the homework and to continue to show up, ask any questions you might have, and, be kind to yourself today as well. And I will look forward to seeing you hopefully tomorrow. All right. Have a wonderful day.